another edition of Industry Conversations 101. Tonight, I have one of the legends of South Carolina, legendary DJ Prince Ice, with me tonight. How are you, sir?
Great, man. Good to see you, Nisha.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I know the pandemic kind of stopped a lot of things from happening, but you have been going strong for years in South Carolina. One of the legendary DJs. Everybody that do know you from the Big DM 101 point three in Columbia, South Carolina. He is the go-to DJ. In South Carolina. Everybody knows DJ Prince Ice. We had the opportunity. The last show we did was the Faith Evans, Carl Thomas show in Columbia.
Yes.
I mean, epic night. So much talent in South Carolina. You have paved the way for a lot of DJs. You've also helped a lot of local artists. You also broke a lot of records. In the area. So it is a pleasure and an honor to have you with me tonight. For those that don't know, Prince Isaac and I have worked on a lot of things together, a lot of events together. Also, he's producing. He's a producer also. If you all can't see, he has some plaques in the background.
A few things here and there. A few things. Just a few.
Yeah,
Just a few.
yeah. So how have you been during this pandemic?
Considering everything, well, matter of fact, to help get through the pandemic, and now we're back at it. We dealt with a lot of law stuff, and I actually, speaking of the production, dropped a new
Yeah.
single called Connect. I lost my best friend to COVID, and then kids lost their cousin, mother, and the grandmother. Like the teacher that died, and then the mom died, and the grandmother
Oh
died. They
wow.
were all family. Yeah, lost a coworker recently, and uncle. He was over. The funny thing about with this time frame, you know, people dying from COVID is enough than people just regularly dying. Death
Yes.
is just hard. It's harder now than it's ever
Right.
been. Yeah. But the
Definitely.
fact that still here gives us the understanding that make time for the right things and spend time doing what's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's a call. I think the pandemic, the lockdown mainly, was a call for everybody to reprioritize your life. If you're doing stupid stuff, if you're involved in anything that's not profitable or blessing your life and the lives of others, change it up real quick.
Right. Indeed.
Because when you clock out, that's it. You don't take
Yeah.
nothing with you. The only thing I told somebody, I said, you don't ever see a U-Haul following a hearse.
Oh, that
So
is true. That is true.
you
Definitely.
don't take nothing, only you don't take nothing with you. You just leave your name and how you touch the lives of others. You know,
Right.
that's our
Indeed.
goal. And yeah,
Indeed. Well, I really want to know, how did you start? How do you get into the music industry? Because you've been doing this thing for a while, Prince Ice, a long time. Considered a vet in the game. So, how did you venture into the industry? How did you begin your journey?
my family has been in music forever. So my mom used to sing back in Brooklyn. We're originally from Jersey, so she used to sing in, like when they were having background singers. Used to write with Harold Melvin, Blue Notes, a few other people, and my cousins uh, had a song that was a reply to Marvin Gaye. Uh,
Mm,
so everybody had time to do it. My mother and her siblings, they had a little group. There's like six of them. They were trying to be like the Jacksons in one. So, anybody that had five or more siblings, hey, let's sing. If they could sing and dance, they did that back in the day. So for us, the kids of them, we took on that. She gave me piano, and then I got interested in DJing and rapping and breakdancing and graffiti. Yeah, played piano, sing, write, produce. I used to dance good until these knees said not anymore.
That that is amazing, and to see that your ties to the industry, because from our conversations that we've had, you're so knowledgeable of music, and knowledgeable of what can get the crowd going. I've had the pleasure to be at several events, as I stated earlier, with you, and you are so able to get the crowd rocking. You know it, to have everyone on their feet from the time they get there, from the time they're leaving. And I think, to me, what was so moving, I think years ago, we were able to go to, it was one of the legendary hip hop festivals that they do have in Colombia. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but however, I remember being there that day, and we actually walked the stage together, and everybody had a wonderful, wonderful time. Everybody was, up on their feet and everything. And some of the festivals that they do have in Colombia, you are pretty much the like I said, the go-to DJ, with a lot of things that's there. But the music scene in Carolina has changed a lot over the years. Can give me your partake on that, with the music in Carolina, because we hear a lot of talk of who's the next star out of the Carolinas. Who will be able to be that person to place the Carolinas on the map? Because you have South Carolina, you have North Carolina. Not too many mainstream artists come from out of this area, unless they have moved from South Carolina, go on somewhere else, and then we later on find out, hey, they're from South Carolina. So give me your
Right.
partake on that.
Well, with the exception of Angie, the baby, and Casey and JoJo, Tasia, and a few others. And we've got tons of other, especially like Little Rue. And you have your handful of people that have made their way being from here and still coming back to North and South Carolina. The key for the artists of South Carolina mainly, because it seems like North Carolina keep getting on, we keep getting left behind. South Carolina's just got to make. Let's just be clear. We make some dope music. All the artists in South Carolina grind, and they work hard, and they make dope music. I commend everybody that's an artist here, because and you can tell from being the dope artist yourself, you get a lot of love, but the thing is you get a lot of love from other places, because see, people that are unfamiliar with you, they're like, wow, that's dope. And then they ask where you're from. The only thing that sometimes when it comes to rappers and stuff, they want to scream from, and then make it about the music. I tell everybody, I said, think like Beyonce. She blew up. By the way, she's from Houston. And it's not like the old school where I'm from New York, I'm from California, and now I'm from Atlanta, or I gotta go to Atlanta. No, they got signs on social media saying don't move to Atlanta. it's overpacked. So and people go, they make their thing. A lot of people go and they realize you're 1 in 16. Exaggerating that number, but it seems so big thing in Carolina do the business first. With anything, you got no product, somebody's gonna buy it. And we have too much talent here, that yo.
You're exactly right.
Hey.
I mean, we have so much dope talent here, and for me being, an artist from South Carolina, as well, just as you stated, speaking from experience, Prince Ice. I remember when I started out years ago, I was very young, and I remember coming to Columbia, when I was younger, and then also venturing into the actual labels, and that used to always be
Yeah.
like, where are you from? They would always ask, where are you from? And I can
Right.
remember back in the day, it was one of those things. Don't tell them, don't tell them, don't tell them you're from South Carolina. And I was like, why would I not tell somebody that, why that I'm from South Carolina? And then when I would tell someone where I'm from, where I'm from in South Carolina, it would always be, well, where is that? Where is Bennettsville? Where is Bennettsville, South Carolina? And one of the notable individuals from Bennettsville, South Carolina, is Marion Wright Elderman. So for me, it was everybody's, well, where is that little small town? Where is that little small town? And then, there's so many different types of things, as being a Carolina artist. You're absolutely right. From where I'm from in Bennettsville, I received love from Florence, Columbia, a lot more than I received in my area. So it was more
Yeah.
so where I caught on, everybody was catching on in Florence, everybody was catching on in Columbia, everybody was catching on in North Carolina. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, boom, everyone now knows who I am in the Carolinas, in that area. My song was playing on several different areas. So you're absolutely right, with that. And we have so many dope artists in South Carolina that really do not receive their just due. And it's just one of those things to where it's like we have so many gems here, and we talk about this narrative all the time. Like, why is it that so many artists in South Carolina just really don't receive their just due? Why they do not make it to mainstream? Like you said, Angie Stone is probably one of the most successful artists that I look up to, who's very soulful. A lot of people did not know she was from South Carolina until later on.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to think she was part of one of the, not the first, but one of the first female hip hop groups, the Sequence, and they were the first female group to really get major notoriety before Salt and Peppers and stuff. They wrote, matter of fact, they wrote a lot of songs that people don't even, back in the early days of hip hop and R&B. So, that, like you were saying, South Carolina, sometimes there was a phrase back in the early 2000s, we used to call it South Don't Carolina, because sometimes they didn't care to support their own, and because what the stigma that you were feeling as an artist is the same stigma a lot of artists feel. Saying I ain't think they think nothing of it. I ain't think there's gonna be nobody, or that's just so and so, and they bring you down to a level, and that's only because the person is saying that doesn't want you to feel like you're bigger or better than them. And that's a complex that some people have in the hometown. Like even Jesus said, a prophet's not accepted in his own hometown. So hometown is sometimes the last place to show you the love that you thought you'd get. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. There's some places that they show a lot of love to their artists. There's some places people just, oh, that's cousin Susan, So, but you gotta keep it moving, because once you start popping, everybody, hey, how you doing? I got this idea for business, Nisha. I only need 50 grand.
Exactly, Prince Ice. And I think just as you stated, it was what I remember along those lines, as you said, that it was where people do not give you as much love as your hometown. You're absolutely right. But at the same time, I can remember when Lou Reed came out.
Yeah.
A lot of people did not know where he was from. We did, because we saw him. A lot of people didn't know where he was from. Yeah. And then when the songs start popping off, when start receiving notoriety, I remember seeing him on 106 & Park. So yes. When it was one of those things to where it was like, wow, now we have a star, we have a hip hop star, that has made it mainstream. But yes. There are a lot of people who do not remember the girls. The girls are from Columbia, South Carolina. Shouts out to Monica. And Terry, yes. So they're from Columbia, South Carolina. They were one of the first groups of New Jack Swing. And a lot of people don't remember them, but they have a lot of notoriety in the game and also have a lot of notoriety, in the New York area, several different areas, and they were mainstream. And also Terry as well, Tara Jeter, who is at the end of the day, Tara is from this area also, and Tara has written a lot of records for Mary J. Blige. Terry has also. So those girls, from this area, a lot of people are not aware of where they're from, but they are very notarized within the game, within the industry. And I had the opportunity to work with all three of them.
Yeah. So I talk to Monica every now and then. She's out in LA, and we're still trying to build a connection from South Carolina to the rest of the world for the business. Because I've tried to break some stuff in, and it's a lot harder and tighter inside of radio because radio is now completely corporate owned and operated. So they control whatever's played or not played. When I used to break all the great Nisha records, it was no holds barred thing. It was like, because all they cared about was were you winning, and I was winning. And the Ice Cold Radio is still, although it's just a mixed show now, it's still one of the longest running programs in the state. But that's what it was for. We broke all the independent artists that we could, as many as possible. We broke major artists. When Diggable Planets was brand new, when Eminem sent me a cassette, I played it on the air because somebody from Detroit that went to Benedict College was like, "Man, you gotta play this dude, this white boy from A Voice." I was like, "Really? Okay." And so with South Carolina, talent is just incomparable. We got some incredible people. So I tell everybody now, the game with the internet and with social media and not needing a record deal, the push is still harder, and especially for the fact that as we get into it deeper, understanding how the digital world is really robbing you from royalties. So you definitely got to be on your performance. Now you really have to be a real artist, because the main way you're going to make money as an artist now is in merch and shows and a few other ways that are non-traditional,
Yeah, I agree, Princess, because there were a few numbers that are out there of how much an artist makes VI streams. A lot of people think where you have all these views that you're making $1 million. That's not necessarily so. And like you said a few minutes ago, that radio now is corporate owned. That reminds me so much of the music industry. Remember back in the day, we had individuals that came up in the game who are now A&R execs, and then all of a sudden the labels went corporate. And now radio is becoming that way because, as we know, just as you said, Ice Cold Radio broke a lot of my records, broke a lot of South Carolina artists, a lot of, like you said, well-known major artists broke a lot of those records. Now it's more corporate owned. People want to know if you're winning or not. People have fake numbers on YouTube and fake streams and things like that. Now it's coming to where you're saying that you have to be a real artist. You can only now receive money from basically touring and merchandise. So even with the social media craze that we have right now, where everybody's mostly on Instagram, everybody's is on TikTok and these things like that, where a lot of music is now being broken on social media, via TikTok, via YouTube. And, for me, I remember you only mix shows and radio was the thing. That was where you heard a lot of the new music. There was no such thing as, you're hearing music from social media. Now we have that where all the new music now, or you see all the new music from social media, or somebody playing it in the background of somebody's new TikTok, And
yes. They go viral for 2 months and then they're out of here.
Yes. Yes, so many one-hit wonders, And it reminds me so much of back in the day, back in the 70s, 80s, where you had so many you had hip hop and also R&B one hit wonders, where they, like you said, it was a viral moment where everybody knew the song, and then you didn't hear from them anymore at
Mm-hmm.
all. So it's like a one and done. That's it. Like you get as much as you can, and
Pretty much.
that's it. That you're out of there. But I do want to talk. I do want to touch on a subject. As what would you think? An artist would need right now to basically survive. I know we're going. That's a segue into what we're going into. What would an artist basically need now? I know you spoke a little bit as to where now they have to really be an artist. So what would you say to new artists that are trying to break into the industry now?
To concentrate on the music you're making sure that, because see, today us artists have to fight with and then what that they're telling you to look like. They are who they are. We don't need another Nicki Minaj or Megan Thee Stallion. We got enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
But now it seems like every female is a Meg, all of them is the same. Talk about what you want to talk about, but how many more people can talk about the same thing? I was at a conference one time a few years ago, and I said, look, all the dope has been sold, all the crack is gone. We rode all the rims, all the sexual innuendos. What else are you going to talk about? Or how are you going to change that conversation?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key, is like, when everybody was wearing white tees, the person that stood out was one that wore a black tee or something else. When everybody was wearing jerseys, the kid that wore polos stood out. So you have to stand up and have your own identity and work your product, because somebody's going to like what you got if you stick to what you have, but if it's good, because one thing about people, they will tell you, man, that's dope. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah, and I mean, in Prince Eyes, just like you said, what's going to make you stand out now? You're absolutely right. There's so many different there's so many people that want to be Megan, so many people want to be Nicki Minaj, so many people, want to be NBA YoungBoy, want to talk about, the same thing. I think everybody talk about the same thing. There's nobody that is different. We don't have any Nas. We don't have any more Nas. We don't have any more Jay-Z that we see now. Everybody is on the same narrative. It's nothing different. So,
him is J. Cole and like a Kendrick and a very, very, very few,
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like you said, it's time for something different. It's time for something new, something fresh, for people to talk about different subjects. I remember at one point in time where, people were talking about so much that was going on in the world today. We have a few R&B artists. We have a lot of the R&B artists that are really trying to be relevant. I would say relevant.
Right.
That are trying to be relevant and not sticking to who they are, because we see so many R&B artists that are turning towards pop and not the soulful R&B, because a lot of people want that. A lot of people want the old school R&B, the soulful music. And if people, now that everything is open, but once we start going back to concerts and things like that, those that have ever been to R&B concert, they are packed. They're packed, because people are thriving. People want that, because we hear so much pop. There's not so much Toni Braxton, Mary J. Blige stuff out there for those, So it's just as you said, it's time to change that narrative now to kind of bring some substance back to the industry.
And see, people are missing that feeling that you get from music. See, now you get a feeling the producers are doing their job. The music is tight. The beats are dope. Then you hear the content of the song, and you're like, oh, okay, here we go. Or here we go again. And it's not that the songs aren't catchy and that doesn't mean that they're whack. It just it's like another person. It's like same game, different players,
Mm.
same moves. Yeah. When is somebody gonna do something and say something that's different, but still make it hot? Like you said, you let's go back to something you said. You had the song Self Destruction back in the day. It was a song about stopping the violence, self destruction. You're headed for self destruction. But people partied to that song like it was, if it, like what you consider a twerk record right now.
Yes.
People partied to self destruction. They was dancing off self destruction, singing lyrics. All the rappers told stories. Everybody remembers MC Lyte's Funky Fresh. What is it? Ready to Party, Nine in Your Pocket. Need the knives and the guns alone. MC Lyte's on the microphone. So I'm paraphrasing what I remember at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But and somebody said somebody should make a self-destruction for 2021 or 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It's some kids made one in 2018, but they kind of ruined it because they cursed all through it. It's like, no, self-destruction didn't have that. And they said, well, it's for this time. I said, no. It's like I'm gonna be honest about something that's out right now. My favorite hip hop, one of my favorite hip hop records is Planet Rock. Now, City Girls have taken it and made it a twerk record. I'm pissed. But they made it work for what they did with it. So I'm not too mad about it. It works. It's just like, come on, yo, but that's where everything is. And it just seems like if the songs now aren't about sex, it's about drugs, about who we gonna kill. Mm-hmm. And I made somebody, I said, let me ask you a question. And I quoted somebody. I said, somebody said to me, when you scroll up the radio dials and you listen to all the other different genres, then you get to the urban music, the hip hop, the R&B. Our music is the only music that degrades its women and kills everyone else. You don't hear any country song saying, I need me a heifer, a nice little you don't hear that.
No.
I'm gonna pop this gat off in my truck. You don't hear.
No, you don't.
You're not gonna hear. Ariana Grande will not be singing about her WAP. It will not happen. She became a trap queen for 1 second when she said, this hair, I bought it. That was it. They were like, all right, that's enough. That's enough of that. Reel it back in. And I love what you said a minute ago, that R&B, because when R&B told stories before every other genre, R&B took you to places. Hip hop expanded on that because it was spoken word put to music, and now, like you were saying, R&B artists want to be rappers, the rappers want to be singers, and the pop artists want R&B. Like Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake, they want to be crowned the kings of R&B. Nah, bro.
Yeah, exactly, Prince Ice. And I feel like it's just so much confusion. It's just too much confusion. And yeah. I really want to get back to the time where music made you feel good. Where, like you said, there was a time where, like, self-destruction, where we partied off of my generation. Yes, we danced off that. Yeah. I can remember there were so many hip hop records that told stories that expanded on the stories that R&B told. LL Cool J was talking about love, okay? It's Positive K, talking about, what's your man got to do with me, So, you know what I mean? And
it was equilibrium.
Yes, it balanced itself out. And you had records here and there that, that was degrading here and there, but it was more censored back then than it is now. And, our youth are being influenced by a lot of different things that they hear and a lot of different things that they see. There's so many YouTube artists. I think YouTube artists, and then there's a lot of where you have these new hip hop artists, like you said, it's not more of spoken word. A lot of stuff don't make sense. A lot of it just doesn't make sense when you. I'm a lyrical person. I know you are too. So,
Yes.
but it doesn't make sense. And for me, being so deeply rooted into lyrics, it's like for me, even though it has a nice beat, I just feel like sometimes things need to make sense. And now it's the industry has twisted to where if it's just a nice beat, you can put anything on a beat and it's a hit. Like nobody cares about lyrical content.
Quoting Little Yachty a few years ago, I think it was 2016, he said, I don't need to spit a hot 16. All I got to do is go, yeah. And now there's a song on the radio, the beat is hot, and this kid is going, yeah. And then he raps. What? And people get mad when you call it mumble rap, but a lot of people sound dyslexic.
Mm-hmm.
Call it what it is. No, they're not supposed to sound like they're from New York. No, they're not supposed to sound like they're from anywhere else. But that's the only thing. Even people have to understand. No New York hip hop sounded the same. It was a cardinal rule. No biting allowed. No copycat. If you tried to sound like Rakim, you got chewed up. If you tried to sound like Snoop Dogg, you got chewed up. If you tried to sound like 50 Cent or T.I., notice how we came from the 80s to the 90s to early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Copying, biting, imitating someone else was a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
Now we need somebody that sounds like this. We need somebody that looks like this. We need you to, and the whole dynamic has been changed and that's why you understand when the corporations, they don't care. And let's, quick hit on that, what you said about the numbers. You can buy YouTube views. You can buy likes. You can buy friends. So some video with 10 million views really only got 200,000.
Based on pack out an arena. Can't pack out an arena.
Yeah, and then those people get the record deals because they say, well, they got numbers. Well, yeah, they got numbers. They spent $1,000 buying those numbers, or $400 or whatever it took. So everything is not real on the net. But that's what the corporation does, and we understand it's the underlying thing about that. With our music that the world enjoys, the R&B and hip hop, and even some of the Caribbean stuff, we have to realize that there was an equilibrium. Yeah, you did the dirty wine while you heard something positive. You did, like you were saying, for every self-destruction, you had a Luke and the 2 Live Crew record. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we want, yeah. Pop that, hey, pop that.
Exactly, exactly, and it was just way more censored at one point in time, but now it's like you said on the radio, you're hearing it more. Everybody's biting off each other. There's no one person that is different. There's nothing that's different where you can say right now that this artist is different than a Megan Thee Stallion, because they're all doing the same thing. You turn on the award show, the BET award show, everybody was doing the same thing.
I got a granddaughter. My granddaughter called me and said, Papa, are you watching the Grammys? I said, should I? She said, you're going to be mad. The Grammys look like the BET Hip Hop Awards. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
They ain't doing. She said, I'm gonna just tell you for real now. And she's 13. No, she's 15. She said they ain't doing nothing but popping booty all over the screen. This ain't the Grammys. The Grammys supposed to be upscale, and even if they have somebody that has a song like that, they adjust their performance for the platform. Imagine Megan doing Body Yaddy Yaddy where they're dancing, but you don't see all the cheek.
Exactly.
That's what, if this was a few years ago, and it's not, like you said, no, are we knocking it? Nah, it's just saying it's levels, there's a time and a place, there's so much. And then I was the BET Awards just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching one rapper perform and he said a lyric in his line, put her legs behind my neck, and all the girls fell on their back and opened their legs so wide that you could see what they had for dinner. It was like so
Yeah.
like oh my God, it's demoralizing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have kids that thinking it's okay. So that goes to, I tell people, I said, you better see the hidden agenda. It's only on our stations. So who are they programming to? Who are they trying to tell? It's like they said, tell a vision.
Yes.
They tell you who you are, what you're worth, how you live, how to live. And then they point the finger, see, this is what they do. Look at the reality shows. Give them money, they still ratchet.
Yes. I mean that is a great way to look at it because again, as I said before, a lot of the youth are looking at what they see on TV or pretty much what they hear as as well. I mean, even myself coming up, there was a lot of different things that we would see on TV. But again, I had parents that were, if something came on TV, we couldn't see it. If we weren't old enough, we couldn't see it. Or
Yes.
it was more so where go in the other room or close your eyes, you can't see it, or you sneak to see it. And I may be telling my age, but Richard Pryor, we couldn't listen to a lot of Richard Pryor. We couldn't listen to a lot of Richard Pryor. We couldn't listen to a lot of Red Fox. We couldn't listen to a lot of Eddie Murphy. When Eddie Murphy Raw came out, we had to sneak and watch that. So it was one of those things where there were a lot of things that we were kind of censored from back in the day, and now it's just
cable box, don't you?
Yes. Listen, I remember the cable box where they had the middle button where you had to press the middle.
Oh, this for people that's of a certain age when it back in the day, Cinemax after 11 p.m.
Yes. So
you had to be in bed as a kid. No.
Yes.
Cinemax.
Yes, and Showtime after a certain time. So it was, it was one of those things at HBO, it was a lot of different things that that used to come on after 11 p.m. at night. So yeah, so it's like, there are a lot of things that, like you said, that are pretty much just out in the open now. There's no censorship. And it's just so open for people to take the perception of our culture a different way. And it's perceived in a different way, in the way that it should not be, because of course music is meant to make you feel good and also express yourself, but it's like it's taken a toll to a whole nother level. And the artists now that we see, it's everybody want to be Beyonce. Everybody wants to dress like Beyonce. And I get the fact that sex sells. And for me as an artist, I've always been, I've never been that type of artist that wanted to be a Beyonce. My idols were always Mary J. Blige, because Mary J. Blige, and I remember what she said, it was, you leave things to the imagination. Yes. And that's what made her so popular. And that's why the fellas loved her, because she was the home girl. She was also the type, she was sexy in her own way, because she gave you things for you to think about. She gave you things to be left for the imagination. Same thing with Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys was always had a thing about her that just made her, feel mysterious. So I always felt like those type of things give you that longevity, So
you touched on something. See, fellas had that LL mentality. Everybody wanted that around the way girl.
Mm-hmm.
She was your home girl. You clowned with her, you laughed with her, you grew up with her. Then she went from being somebody that you picked on and pinched to somebody who was like, dang.
Yeah, right.
That's them dudes was like, hey niece, how you doing? So yeah.
Right.
The funny thing I told somebody about Alicia Keys, you never saw her body the whole first few years.
Mm-mm.
After the song "No One" and that blue outfit,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I remember. And then
Yeah.
then I was at a show, and then I was in New York, and then she came out and she had that black leather outfit on. It was later on the MTV Awards.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Madison Square Garden and then they taped it. I was like, oh. It's like,
See?
East is packed.
See, you know, and that was, I remember back in the day, that was the thing, you know, you led into that. It wasn't like boom, there, you know, there it is. And I remember the Salads back in the day, they would that's how that they would, you know,
Yeah.
have most of the artists. If you can remember, a lot of the 90s artists, you didn't see a lot of skin. It was more so where they gradually moved you up to that level. So
Yeah.
it's just amazing how so many things happen now. You know what I mean? Like how things change, you know, as with the times. But you know, as you stated, it's just so many things that have changed and so many things that are just wide open right now. And I really feel that we need to get back to that. Not sure if it's ever gonna go that way, but you know, we do really need to try to get back to that.
I think that, and that goes to what you were saying. There's a call to all artists right now. We need not copies of, but people to take a page from the Lauryn Hill Aaliyah books. There's a before her who was like her.
Mm-hmm.
After her, the only person that was resemblant to her was Sierra, not in vocals, but in dancing style.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then who could touch Mary? Yeah, was Mary the greatest singer? No, she could sing, but Mary was the package. She could sing. She did that crazy dance that we still like.
Yeah.
But she writes the song, and then there's people that write songs for and with her, write songs that you can relate to. The only other person, well, one of other than Faith Evans, of course,
right.
who I love to death. Give me Faith, Mary, and Jill Scott, and my life is great.
Mm-hmm.
Now throw in some her and Algebra and those folks, you know, top it off with Anisha, and you got people that sing songs that talk about the good, the bad, but they don't leave you without a hope, without a realistic view to it. Yeah, I dealt with a sorry dude, but I'm looking forward to dealing with one that is not.
Mm-hmm.
Not just sticking with the, and somebody gonna get mad about this, but I'm gonna say it. The artists that I think that really got stuck in a rut, but should have been bigger, of Vivian Green.
Oh yes.
When she went through the thing with her first husband and made 3 albums out of it, and you know, after Emotional Roller Coaster, it started being too depressing.
It did.
You know, it's difference between, like people say, hurting Mary versus when Mary got happy for a minute, and her and Kendi broke up, but then Mary bumping, I'ma live, and she started making Just Fine. Songs like, you know, so the balance has to be there, like you say. We still need that balance. Yeah. For every back that thing up, you still had a Queen Latifah's UNITY.
Oh my God, yes.
Who you calling a B?
Yes.
Imagine if that song came out now, instead of being proud. And I'm gonna give you this. I got a song on the mixtape I'm getting ready to drop. I got a Hands in the Air mixtape out now, and a new one called Sunday Dinner with the song The Next Time on it. And I went back into my spoken word, channeled my spoken word side, and I wrote I Do Love You for You. And a part of that song in the poem, I say, you are a queen, my dear. So never accept the title of female dog, nor try to claim that you're the baddest one. And so they know what a female dog is called.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not beautiful, intelligent, talented, charismatic. No, You can sprinkle sugar on doo-doo and it's still doo-doo.
Exactly.
Don't try to make something negative positive when it was built out of negative.
Right,
Nah.
right. Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, Prince Ice, I know you said you talked a little bit about the mixtape. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on and what can we expect from Prince Ice in going out to 2021, coming into 2022 of next year.
We making music, y'all, and
Yay!
we rocking parties. So I'm working on a bunch of compilations. I'm finally going to get, the last 3 years have been really weird. I think from the last administration to the COVID, the pandemic, our lives were in a chaotic state. We didn't know what to expect. And I experienced a lot of things. I lost so many loved ones since 2016 and so many other things. And then the pandemic. And then I had these dope mixtape that I was finishing up that as soon as COVID locked us down, I couldn't promote it. So I'm on my DMX right now. Rest in peace to the dog.
Yes.
Got 2 mixtape albums out. I'm on my DJ Khaled. That's that style where I'm putting, and that's what I'm gonna do with what I've been doing for the past few years is like Khaled put the Migos with Justin Bieber. So I'm putting artists in different scenarios to say, hey, look, yeah, I know you rap about trapping a lot. Now, do this song. And so on the Hands in the Air mixtape, it's a dope compilation. It celebrates at the it's 33 years now, but last year was 32 years on radio. So I made 32 songs on the mixtape. So but this is year 33. So and so Sunday Dinner and Hands in the Air are the mixtapes. Hands in the Air is on all platforms now, streaming, download, whatever. Sunday Dinner will be out before Labor Day. So we're in the first single from Sunday Dinner is on YouTube now called The Next Time. Features singer from, she's not from Bentonville. She's somewhere near Orangeburg, Courtney J. She's a Columbia native, but her family's originally from deep down in the 80s. So,
oh, wow.
My man G. Snyder Music, and then Queasy, the CEO, So we've got some of South Carolina's dope artists, and Queasy shot the video. So South Carolina's got it, man. People able to shoot the videos, write the songs, come up with concepts. We have a plethora of resources and talents, and we just have to just do the business. And then support is like, when you say, hey, Prince Ice, I got a new song, I mean, send it and turn the radio on. Boom. It played. As soon as I got it, because I didn't even have to ask. I was like, yeah, I know it's going to be dope. I put my ear to it and I mix it. Oh, Lord. Forgive me. I forgot. It was one of your songs I blended, and then I blended to a Mobb Deep record. But I came out of a Mary record, and everybody was asking, yo, what was that song between Mobb Deep and Mary J. Blige?
Yeah, I think it may have been Circles. It may have been Circles, yes. Yeah, I mean, but still to this day, everybody still rocks Circles. And my 10th year on that song is coming up, and I can't thank you enough. I know, right? I can't thank you enough for being, one of the driving forces in the area that really helped me place that song out there. Still to this day, that song is pretty much a classic within this area. A lot of people, even when I placed it on TikTok, there were so many people that was like, oh my God, where's this record? Where's this record? Where can we buy the record? Shouts out to DJ Skills as well.
That guy.
Yeah, Skills and I worked hard on that mixtape together, and when he introduced the record to me, and felt that it would be a great combination for me, a great combination, especially with my sound, and then of course the beat. which was Little Brother, Ninth Wonder. He felt that that would probably be a good segue to introduce me to the area. And once we started, running with that record, and then you placing it in the mix show, that was it. So, definitely, shouts out to you for that, because I could not have done that without you. And all the DJs in South Carolina that rock with me consistently. Anytime when I had something new, it was always niche. What you got? And definitely, kept me relevant in the area. So thank you so much, DJ Prince Ice, for all you have done for me, as a Carolina artist, and everything that you're doing for Carolina artists at this moment.
Thank you for doing what artists today must continue to do. And that's, see, the DJs and the artists, we all are fighting to preserve the quality of what we love with this whole business. And that's just making good music, providing good feelings, and creating moments that you take with you for the rest of your life. The first time you heard Mary's version of Sweet Thing, her remix of You Are Everything, the Lauryn Hill Sweetest Thing Mahogany remix. My gosh, the first time you heard Ready or Not by the Fugees, you can name records. And then the first time when you hear a song by independent artists such as yourself, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then when the DJs play it and people say, yo, is that, and they compare you because they feel like it's a record that a major artist made, it lets you know that you're on the right path. And that's what I tell artists. If you make great music, well, everybody's gonna check. They're gonna go, who's that?
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's it. Give your best. Look in the mirror and realize that that's the person who's your biggest competition. And that could be your greatest downfall if you don't keep that person spiritually rounded, protected, and emotionally grounded.
That's right. You're absolutely right. But before I let you go, Prince Ice, can you tell everyone where your social media, where everyone can follow you? Of course, they can listen to you on the Big DM, but yes, let them know about your social media, where they can reach you.
The Big DM 1013 every day, 12 noon to 5 p.m. TheBigDM.com, Hot1039FM.com, Sundays at 6 p.m. I'm on all social media: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Oh gosh, too many to name.
Yeah.
My still out there. That's what's crazy. Yeah, MySpace.
MySpace, yeah.
At Dave Prince Ice. Shout out to Tom.
I know, right? I know. I tell you, it's so much in social media, and the fact that it has just taken over the world completely.
Right.
But again, thank you so much, Prince Ice, for sharing your time with me tonight and us having a conversation about music in general. I am going to download the mixtape and I'm going to listen, because I, of course, still appreciate great music. So definitely.
You're going to be on one of the next ones, because it's crazy. During the pandemic, I made enough music. I had nothing else to do. I was in the studio. I have tracks that I'm finishing now that the ideas came between April and October. And I got three other albums ready to go. I could do a dance, like a techno album with trap and house and some hip hop. I actually got one of those done, but I don't want to get too deep on everything, because I know we got to wrap this up. But I made a bunch of music. Yeah, being a producer and a writer, and a DJ, I play everything. So I want to create everything, and that's the versatility I tell all the artists. If a pop artist call you, do just like the Baby, go get on that pop record and be you. Because that's all the industry and that's all the world wants. Who are you? Tell me who you are. Tell me where you come from, and as far as how you grew up and lived. Your story is the best story you can ever tell.
That's right. That
And
is
you tell
that's
it.
right.
That's it. Be the
Right.
best. Be you.
Be the
Everything
best you can be.
That's it. Everyone else is taken.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you again so much, Prince Ice. You have a good night, and my condolences to you as well.
Thank
You know, on your loss. But I will definitely be looking out for the mixtape. Holla at me now.
All right. Remember, 2 things on the internet now: the Hands in the Air mixtape and the new song called "The Next Time." They are
Yes,
every.
sir.
There we go.
Gotcha. All right. Good night, everyone. This has been another edition of Industry Conversations 101. Shouts out to Press Magazine for sponsoring Industry Conversations 101. Good night, everybody.
Good night, y'all.